Hello and welcome back to the Dugout, episode 21. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks. I'm joined today by Ethan Barlow and back for the first time in a while, Laurie Finlayson. Laurie, it's good to have you back, mate. How you doing? Oh,
Yeah, good to be back. It does feel like it's been a while. I was gutted, particularly not to be here last week to celebrate Kelly's victory over Rangers. Sorry, Alex, but um, but I'm back just in time to talk about Kelly losing. So absolutely brilliant.
yeah, I'm pleased I didn't have. I dealt with you in person. I'm pleased I didn't have to deal with you on the pod. But yeah, it's good to have you back, mate. Good to have the three of us chatting away. Ethan, how you doing, mate? Good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. The
Birthday
football
weekend?
across the Scottish Premiership. What?
Birthday weekend?
Yeah, birthday weekend. Not the best week of Scottish football, you could say. But we've got the midweek games starting, and then that's the festive football period where it's just all football. So that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting. But before we jump into the weekend's action, I think we should go over last week's European ties for the Scottish clubs. Celtic went to Bergamo to take on Atalanta. No one was expecting much from that game. However, they came away with a nil-nil draw, Ethan, which is a great result and a good defensive performance from Celtic.
Yeah, a brilliant result for Celtic. I, as you heard in the preview, I didn't have much hope for Celtic. I thought they would get beat. I think a lot of Celtic fans echoed that opinion. I think Brendan Rodgers was people wanted him to change, be more pragmatic, and that's how it seemed. Celtic weren't just going gun ho with the press. They weren't just going man for man. They sat in. It wasn't like a low block or anything, but it was very defensive um, and they got a good point. Atalanta got more and more frustrated as the game went on. I thought Austin Trusty was brilliant. Kasper Schmeichel was good. It wasn't as if he was making world class save after world class save, but I'm sure you have all seen the statistics about the amount of saves he made and whatever. But yeah,
Hmm.
a really good point, especially when you consider Atalanta are top scorers in Serie A and they were 5-0 up after half an hour, just over half an hour at the weekend. So, yeah, a really good point. And Celtic probably just need two more wins and they're into the next round, which is a good place to be in at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said about Kasper Schmeichel, he didn't make any like world class saves, I'd say, but he was solid, and that's all you're looking for in your keeper to make the saves he has to make, and to do that as many times as he did is some feat. Laurie, I remember I was talking to you after the game, and when the final whistle went, you kind of said the Atalanta players looked shocked, almost as if what's just happened.
Yeah, I think they were, a bit maybe taken aback by how Celtic approached it because I would think maybe they were expecting the kind of gung-ho Celtic that, everyone in Scotland feared, would come out, and I think that's what Atalanta were prepared for, and yeah, you could kind of see as Atalanta were walking off the pitch, the players were a bit like. They didn't really know what had hit them. Yeah, it was only a nil-nil draw. You'd argue it's nothing really for them to, for Atalanta like to lose sleep over. But they were kind of just they were expecting to beat Celtic and beat Celtic comfortably. I think they maybe saw the Dortmund game, the 7-1, and thought we can probably put three or four past these, and then we're obviously, proved well wrong. And I mean, Kasper Schmeichel, to his credit, we all know he's a good keeper. We've all known what he's done in the past, but I was one of the people, and I'm sure I've said it on this very podcast, who kind of was like, what's the point in replacing Joe Hart with a guy who's even older? But I tell you what, he's done very well indeed. I've got to eat my words a little bit there.
Yeah, Gasperini was also raging for on the sidelines a lot of the time. Atalanta, a lot of balls into the box. Celtic defended them really well. Alistair Johnson had a bit of trouble with Zappacosta in the first half, but I think he really got used to defending him, and he played them really well. And yeah, great result for Celtic. And the 4 points from the opening three games is brilliant, ahead of Bayern Munich as well. So Celtic are better than Bayern Munich. You heard it here first. Um, but yeah, on to the Rangers game. Rangers took on FC Slough Bucharest at Ibrox, and when the opening minute, it looked like it was going to be quite a bad night for Rangers, but we're saved by a bit of poor refereeing, Laurie.
Yeah, you were, and I'm glad that you call it poor refereeing as well, because obviously you were at the game, but on the TV, I mean, it certainly wasn't a foul on Jack Butland. How he managed to con the referee into that one, I don't know. But I tell you what, obviously that seemed to kind of spur Rangers, you know, into life. Because I mean, again, from watching from home, uh, Steaua Bucharest or FCSB as we're officially supposed to call them now, but they're still at Bucharest, right? They really didn't, you know, scare me either neutral at all. Although at times, going by what you were saying to us, Alex, it sounded like they maybe seemed a bit more threatening when you were watching in the flesh, but eventually I think Rangers got to grips with them and it was very comfortable in the end.
I think it's just when you're at the game, sometimes you feel a bit more nervous, or you're like watching, or if your team's involved, you're a bit more nervous at like chances that if
Yeah.
you were watching like a neutral game, you'd be like this, or they're dominating, or they're not showing anything. But when it's kind of difficult to tell sometimes when you're watching your team. But yeah, it ended up being very comfortable. The opening goal. It was a nice strike for Tom Lawrence. Keeper probably should have done better. From my angle in the stadium, I thought, oh, what a finish. And Ethan was in the chat going, oh, nah, keeper should have done better. But it was a decent strike. But yeah, good opening goal, and then good pressure from Rangers. Václav Černý picks it up, and Ethan, this was a brilliant goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great finish on his the first Czerny goal was the one on his right foot, wasn't it, from
Yeah,
the
yeah, it
outside the
was.
box? Yeah, yeah, that was a really good goal. And Czerny's starting to be sort of Rangers' kind of star player, you could say, in attacking areas. He's not always been the most consistent, but over the last few games, he's definitely been Rangers' biggest threat. And yeah, it was a well round good performance from Rangers. Obviously, the early hiccup from Butland, with some refereeing that would be absolutely scrutinised in this country. So maybe refreshing to see that there is these big errors going elsewhere. But I think Rangers would have pretty comfortably won the game anyway, with some good goals, and Igamane with a good goal as well. He always looked, when he was squaring up defender, the whole time he looked like he was only going to be the winner of that duel, and he did. It was a good goal from him.
Yeah, it was. And Cherry's second goal was brilliant as well. Started from the keeper. Um, Raskin out to Tavernier, nods it on. Diamandi round the corner to Cherny. And Cherny takes it in and finishes it beautifully for three. And, I mentioned Raskin there, and he was excellent. And so was Connor Barron. Them two in the middle were absolutely everywhere. I think for me, Cherny for his goals and his assist got man of the match, but they two definitely were in with a shout. They were brilliant all over the park, and Barron's obviously pressure for Agaman's goal as well. Made it, so definitely big shout for those two, and 6 points for Rangers is I'm really really pleased with that. And it's just, I think it's one more win to make it to the playoff round. So it's looking up for Rangers.
Brilliant.
On to another team who have been quite successful in Europe so far, more successful than they've been in the league. Hearts hosted Omonia Nicosia of Cyprus, and they triumphed 2-0 with two absolute screamers, Laurie.
Yeah, they did, and Hearts again looks very assured, and considering as well that under new management, and of course, I'm going to say my piece on Neil Crixley now just quickly because I don't think I've been on the podcast since he got appointed, if memory serves me correctly. So I wasn't too impressed with that appointment. I was probably like a lot of the Hearts fan, a little bit underwhelmed by it, but he started, very well with, well, two pretty resounding victories, of course, against St Mirren, as you will have discussed, and then, of course, against Omonia on Thursday. And, that was, two really strong performances, as you say, some great goals as well in there. And that's credit to, Chelsea for getting his message across quickly. But, Hearts are a strange one because they can perform in Europe. If they can transfer that into the league, they could still, get a decent finish this season. I mean, who knows what Hearts can actually achieve.
Yeah, I think a brilliant performance from Hearts. They dominated pretty much from minute 1 to minute 90. Two great goals, as you said, from Forrest and Spittle, and they're nearly there through in the Conference League already. I think they've been given like a 97% chance of qualifying. So yeah, I think they just need one more point. So I think that's probably their two easiest games gone. But if they can avenge Kilmarnock against Cercle Bruges or Copenhagen in any way, then they'll be through, I think.
And I
And to be
think
honest, I think they could.
I
Yeah,
was about
they
to say
could.
that. Yeah, I think they could because those games against Kilmarnock weren't super like they didn't blow them away. So you know, Hearts could probably take something.
Do- Here's a question. I think they might both be away games from what I remember. Do they have Cercle or Copenhagen at Tynecastle? If they do, I would certainly back them because both of the games we had against them at home, we were arguably the better team in both. Like I've got
I'm
a
not
feeling they might be heading
sure.
away in both the games.
I'm just
Just a
looking
just
now.
a gut feeling.
No, they're both away from home, unfortunately. They've
Yeah,
got
that
yeah, they've got Bundesliga side FC Heidenheim next, so that'll probably be their most difficult game. Then they've got Bruges away, then Copenhagen away, and then CS Petro Cup at home, which is probably their easiest game left. They're sitting mid-table in the Moldovan division, so you would expect Hearts to turn them over
yeah
and go through, hopefully.
If they
yeah. Fingers crossed.
if
And
they
just
don't beat
quickly
them,
on
that's sorry, Laurie.
that's
I'm
the
just saying if
worry.
they don't beat them, that's an embarrassment for all of Scottish football. So
Absolutely, but as you go from potential embarrassments to Scottish football to something that Scottish football can be really proud of, this has been proof that what we were saying before the season started about how this new format and the UEFA competitions can help Scottish clubs. Because it looks like Celtic and Rangers are on the cusp of at least getting to the playoff round, and then Hearts are in a very good position as well. So at least we're now starting to see that it does benefit the Scottish clubs, which is good to see.
Yeah, and it's another thing that I found refreshing is the kind of set points that's needed to guarantee you through, which is another thing
Yeah.
that just you can kind of target a number of points, whether before then you couldn't really do that in the group stages. But yeah, all three teams well on way to going through, which would be a great achievement for Scotland.
yeah, and the
Fantastic.
next round of fixtures is the week after this one, isn't it? If I'm
I think
correct.
so. Yeah,
A few we'll have a European preview for that one. Big games. Rangers taking on Olympiacos. Hearts. Sorry, which one was it again? Was it Heidenheim they'll get next, or
FC. Yeah, Heidenheim. Yeah,
Yeah.
Heidenheim and Celtic have uh,
Leipzig.
Leipzig. Oof, that'll be a tough game, but at Parkhead you never know. Uh, right, let's move
Yeah,
on to the SPFL action for the weekend. The good stuff, the real top tier football. So Dundee hosted St Johnstone at Dens for a game between two sides that haven't maybe had the best season. Dundee took the lead early on with one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen from Simon Murray. Ethan, you just it's so weird. Lobs it up in the air, and then he's the only one that follows it in.
Yeah, and the weird thing was, I thought I remembered Dundee scoring another goal from a goalkeeper kick, and they did. John McCracken also has an assist, like Trevor Carson. Yeah, Simon Murray does well. This kind of mix up between the St Johnstone centre half and goalkeeper, and yeah, he has an easy goal at the end of it. And Dundee kind of there wasn't much goalmouth action in the first half, but
No,
Dundee played well.
no, but it was all Dundee in the first half. It looked like, yeah, no, there wasn't a lot, but in the second half, Graham Carey with a really, really nice goal. Perhaps Trevor Carson was a bit unsighted, Laurie, but it's a nice finish from Graham Carey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Trevor Carson would stick with what you said and say that he was unsighted. I mean, Graham Carey's always been a player, whoever he's played for, that's always a kind of cracking strikes like that in his locker. So it wasn't a massive surprise. Probably the kind of best bit of quality in the game. And also, I mean, we're just going to get there, but of course, the game, it was a really big one for St Johnstone. Never mind just the local derby element of it. And Tayside, just think it's the first game where their new manager, Simo Valakari, finally got in the dugout after they sorted out all the work permit issues as well. So a bit of new manager bound for St Johnstone potentially.
Yeah, and here's a stat for you. Obviously, they ended up winning the game. That's the first time they've won back-to-back league games in 2 years, which is
My goodness.
absolutely mental. Uh, can't be fun being a St Johnstone fan, but hopefully they can build on this and keep going forward. Second half was basically all St Johnstone. There was some late chances, good blocks, but then they eventually get a really scrappy winner through Nicky Clark, and it's like I said, back-to-back wins for the first time in 2 years for the Saints, and yeah, they'll be really pleased with that. And so when their new manager, not don't think there's much else to say about this game unless you guys want to add anything.
I was just going to say
No, I
about
don't think so.
the kind of the Nicky Clark goal at the end. I think it's obviously an awkward situation that the VAR get put in because they didn't have the camera angles to tell whether it was on or offside. So they had to go with Kevin Clancy's naked eye, um, and he gave it onside. Which, looking at it, I think it was the right decision. I think Nicky Clark was just onside. But yeah, as you said, a really good win for St Johnstone, and they're into the top six. So, well, I
Yeah,
don't know if they'll stay there, but they're into the top six.
what a strange league.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't think that, but anyway, good win for them. Right now, on to Dingwall, Laurie. Ross County hosted your Kilmarnock. Um, you know, and it was a good game actually, a good watch. Watkins had an early chance. Chilvers had a few efforts for distance. Real looked like he was maybe going to get something. Stuart Finlay nearly scored a goal of the season contender. Laurie, just talk us through that one.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart Finlay for a centre half, he's actually not bad, especially for Kilmarnock's level. He's actually not bad with the ball at his feet. I mean, and he does have a decent strike on him. Stuart Finlay scored a few decent goals for us, not even just with his head. Scored a cracker at Tynecastle. I'm going to mention that. Scored a couple of crackers at
I
Tynecastle
remember that
actually.
one.
I'm going to mention that ahead of the Wednesday night. Um, for for anyone who's never seen this, there's been a crack at Tynecastle for Stuart Finlay. There was some cracking commentary that was in Killy TV years ago with the words, "What's going on? Just shoot." I might actually share this in the Dugout Twitter at Dugout 2024. Anyway, on the Stuart Finlay, that was a brilliant run he made, on Saturday, and I was gutted that he didn't score. Absolutely gutted. Um, and Alex, you said the game was a good watch. Maybe the highlights made it look decent, but I mean, my goodness. Oof.
I thought it
But
was a decent watch. I don't know. I've got
it
an
was
opinion
one.
that
That's okay. I quite like you calling it a decent watch. I mean, that gives Kelly a bit more credit, actually. I mean, the first half, Kelly were okay. We got in front, decent strike by Corey and Dabba, and our defender with an eye for goal, it seems. Um,
Yeah, brilliant.
and although he was playing kind of in a more kind of midfield kind of role at times, which hasn't always worked, but it worked on Saturday. Um, Oh, but there we address the elephant in the room, and I'm happy enough that you guys do it. Ill discipline strikes
Yeah,
again.
Kilmarnock's fifth red card of the season. Nearly had six, uh, but obviously that got overturned for Joe Wright. But Liam Donnelly booked for silly, sort of kicking the ball away, and then a clear yellow card for the second one. And it seems to be a theme for Kilmarnock, but a theme in the league this season. Um, Players getting
Yeah,
second yellow cards for absolutely like stupid challenges they shouldn't be making while they're on a booking, Ethan.
yeah. I mean, the first yellow card is just petulant. I mean, by the rules, it's a yellow card. He kicks the ball away a little. The second one, you know you're on a yellow card. You're less than 10 minutes after getting your first yellow card, and you've just dragged them down. Yeah, it's really not a smart decision. He's ultimately cost come on at the game, you could say.
Mm.
I'm sure Derek McInnes will not be very happy with him. To your point on red cards, I looked across the other leagues, and the Scottish Premiership, as we thought, is quite a high. In 30% of the games, there's been red cards. In the
Wow.
Premier League, English Premier League, 16% of the games. Um, and most of the other leagues are in between 14 and 25%. So the Scottish Premiership has had a lot of red cards this season. And no more than Kilmarnock. So yeah, Derek McInnes came out I remember, for was it Joe Wright's
Yeah.
violent red card that he came out and kind of condoned them. So yeah,
Although I'm going
He
to
won't
quickly
be
add on
happy.
that. He did. You say he wouldn't be happy. He kind of did the opposite with Liam Donnelly. At least with the kind of club media guys, he said, and I'm not quite sure what I think of this. I'd like to hear your take, lads. Right? He said something like Liam tried his best not to foul him, but before he dragged him down, he has at least two pulls at him. Um,
I don't know what he's on about there, but eh,
no,
yeah, it's a bit strange. But Donnelly's red and the free kick leads directly to the equaliser from John White, a bit of a shamash, but he takes it well, he spins it and volleys it in. Shouldn't be afforded that space, in my opinion, but it
no.
was a good finish from him in the end. And then um, Chilvers had a good attempt from a free kick, Ross County threatening, and then they get it late on. Joe Wright with an own goal, just kind of cannons off him into the net, and then he gets sent off, but it gets overturned. Fortunately for him, because that would have been the most disastrous sub appearance of all time. But yeah,
Yeah, and he's had a pretty disastrous season. I mean, on that red card that never was, I don't even think that was a foul. Never mind a red card. So I don't know how he
yeah,
ended
no,
up
I
still getting a
agree.
yellow for it.
I agree with you. I don't think it was a red card either. I don't even think it was a foul. Sorry, either. Yeah, I think, as you said, Joe Wright's not having the best of seasons. Why did he come on for Stuart Finlay? Was Finlay injured, Laurie?
Unfortunately, he picked up a groin injury. I think he felt a bit of tightness in his groin. They're trying to get him assessed ahead of Wednesday. I very much hope he's back because he's our best centre half in my opinion.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd hope he's
but
back
yeah,
as well, because Joe Wright. I've never liked Joe Wright, Laurie. I've always
No,
thought he was really poor, and I think he's showing it this season.
definitely.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Right. So, unless anyone's got anything else to say on Kilmarnock's defeat, we'll move on to type. What? Oh,
Nothing.
no. Right. Okay. We'll move on to title chasing Aberdeen. hosting Dundee United um, at Pittodrie. And the first half wasn't really anything to shout about. Couple of chances each way, but that's that. The second half is where Aberdeen really took control. One player I just wanted to talk about, it was Morris, who he's kind of a polarizing figure, you could say, for the Aberdeen fans. That a lot of them don't like him, a lot of them kind of think he's all right, but um, I thought his impact on the game was absolutely excellent, Laurie.
Yeah, he came on and was brilliant, was electric. Just that raw pace was enough to kind of spook Dundee United. I was surprised at the sub, um, because Kiskin was all right, and obviously he's one of these kind of big money signings, comes in with a lot of kind of hype surrounding him, and obviously Shaden Morris was one of these kind of almost forgotten men at Pittodrie. But I'm glad that Jimmy Tulane, like he has with many players, including Duke on the opposite side, of course, giving guys, a second chance, and certain people like Shaden Morris are just, grabbing it with both hands. And I was, pleased at that. It's obviously one of those ones where Tulane quite cleverly just knew that Shaden Morris would be able to exploit them United in a way that Kiskinen perhaps couldn't.
Yeah, I think after the game at Celtic Park against Celtic, I think me and Alex talked about the kind of depth of squad that Aberdeen have, especially in attacking areas. I don't think we even mentioned Shane Morris, but as Alex picked him out, I thought he was brilliant. He looked just brilliant on that side. Just they couldn't deal with his pace. It was mostly Middleton that was up against him, playing in that wing back role. So a bit of a kind of mismatch there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was brilliant, and he nearly set up Esther Sokler for well, Jack Walton stopped it with a brilliant save. Otherwise, it would have been 1-0 at that point.
Yeah, I think Jack Walton had a really good half, actually, really good game in general. The only one you could maybe kind of say is where he sort of spills it from McGrath and nearly creeps in it inside the post, but it doesn't. And he keeps going and he makes a lot of good saves, but then right, and then but Aberdeen take the lead through a guy I didn't even know existed until the other day. Talking about strength and depth again, um, Peter Ambrose, I think I've got that right. Um, gives him
Yeah,
the lead, and it's one of these games. I think if you want to be champions, you need to grind through and get past a keeper who won't let anything in, and a defence who's defending for their lives, and they managed to do that, and it's a good win for Aberdeen. Obviously, they get given a penalty, but it got ruled out for offside. But yeah, great win for Aberdeen.
yeah. And Peter Ambrose came in as like I think he kind of came in from Uzpest, I think it is in Hungary. It's kind of the Aberdeen fans expecting him to be the kind of Miovski replacement. Obviously before they signed Nisbet, but that's never really happened for him. He's had to bide his time off the bench, not getting many minutes, but he was brilliant when he came on. Gets that crucial goal, and then it's unfortunate he's just offside to not get the penalty. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Aberdeen have really got strength and depth in attacking areas, and they haven't been maybe the most convincing over the last few weeks. They obviously had that great result at Celtic Park, but before that, I thought they were scraping through games. This one, obviously, it looks like they scraped through, but they really did have a dominant spell across the whole second half, and were unlucky not
Yeah.
to score more goals.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, Aberdeen, it's just a case of now at this point, especially looking ahead to the midweek matches, you know, when's Aberdeen going to stop? I'm not saying I want them to stop this time, but when's this going to actually end? It doesn't really feel like they're ending anytime soon. It feels like this momentum is just going to keep going. And I've really enjoyed, watching it from afar. And I remember back in August, chatting to some of the guys on Red Tinted Glasses, an Aberdeen podcast, and even then, they were very impressed with how, Jimmy Tulane even handled the League Cup game against low league opposition, and you were just starting to see, you know, kind of the green shoots starting to come through from how that's came to how they were, in the league. Now they're getting a real challenges coming in, and we'll see how they get on Wednesday night, I guess, against Rangers.
Yeah, Dundee United, although they lost this one, they're still in a good form and a great start to the season. And I think they'll continue that. I think they were just up against a better team on the day in Aberdeen, and yeah, I still think Dundee United will have a good season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry, Laurie, what were you saying?
I was just going to jump in there and say they have started really well. The fact that surprised me, Dundee United, especially with the fact that, of course, they won they won the championship, they got up, but they weren't exactly the most convincing of championship winners. I mean, it's a hard league to get out of, but I wouldn't. My expectations for Dundee United weren't all that high, so they've actually kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I don't know about any of you two.
No,
I,
definitely.
yeah, I'd say they have, but I just feel like they're one of these clubs that will come up and do well. So, uh, yeah, yeah. How well they've done, I'd say I thought they would do well, but I don't think they do this well. Right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
on to the Edinburgh Derby. Hibs hosted Hearts for a crucial Edinburgh Derby, bottom of the table clash, which is not something you say often with these two. And yeah, well, you guys watched the full game. I watched the highlights. You guys said it was a terrible game. I really enjoyed watching the highlights. So, yeah, I thought it was a supercharged atmosphere, like really, like rowdy from the crowd, from the away fans, from the home fans. It was. I thought it was really good. Hearts had a couple of chances during the game. Shankland with a few. But what I would say is, up until maybe the last 15 minutes, I'd say it was all Hibs. Maybe from you guys watching the full game, you might have a different opinion, but from the extended highlights on Sports Scene, all Hibs, and they should have been 2 or 3 up. Obviously, they took the lead through Kukarevich, a scrappy goal on the line, and they should have made it two through Triantis, and they were, punished for poor finishing. James Wilson with a late equaliser. 17 years old, what a story for him, and come through the academy. I'm sure he's a Hearts fan, so second goal for him in as many weeks and as many games. So yeah, and Gordon made a sort of save at the end where he, palmed it and then he grabbed it, which was crucial, and it was a 1-1 draw. Laurie, it'll just come to you. What's your thoughts on this game and the performances from both teams?
Yeah, I think Hibs were definitely the stronger of the two, which surprised me because I mean, Hibs, whenever you've seen them this season under David Gray, who now seems to be under a fair bit of pressure, they've not looked impressive at all. But I mean, they fell for their usual Achilles heel of not concentrating and seeing games out. I mean, Hearts, as we discussed earlier on the show, have been pretty decent on the critics, and that's obviously small sample size, but that's definitely the worst have been under under him, although he still seemed, going by what he said post match, he still seemed fairly satisfied with what he saw, and I don't quite get why. I mean, Hibs were definitely the better side. I mean, two pretty poor sides. You could tell it was 11th against 12th, and I mean, they are still obviously level in points. They're only separated in the table by a single goal, if I remember correctly, if I look at the goal difference column. But yeah, two poor sides in Edinburgh, and I hope for the sake of Scottish football, I kind of hope that changes sooner rather than later. But you made a good point, Alex, about the crowd and the atmosphere. Both sets of fans were really up for it, despite their team's poor form of late.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere wasn't no, the atmosphere was good and that was a good advert for Scottish football, but as the kind of main game of the weekend, I think it was a bit of a letdown. Quality wise, there wasn't much quality in the game at all. Both goals are quite scrappy. Um, as Alex mentioned, Triantis, I think that's the big turning point in the game. If he scores that for Hibs, then Hibs probably going to win the match at 2-0. But he hasn't. Another stat about Triantis that I seen. He picked up a yellow card in the 4th minute after just coming back from suspension, and he's got 5 yellow cards and 5 Hibs appearances this season. So if you're a betting person, then Triantis for a yellow card's never too bad a shout. But
Please gamble
yeah, Hibs were.
responsibly.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
Triantis,
course.
Liam Donnelly, Joe Wright for a red, you know.
Yeah, they're also good bets. But yeah, Hibs were, as you said, Hearts had more of the ball, but Hibs were more threatening. But yeah, what a moment for the young James Wilson. Now overtakes Lawrence Shanklin's goal tally for the season, crazily enough. But yeah, and Hibs concede from another long throw in. They done it 2 weeks ago, or not 2 weeks ago, 2 games ago, sorry, against Motherwell. And I said whoever concedes from long throw ins, but obviously Hibs do. And that's them down to 0-8 in the final 15 minutes of Scottish Premiership games this season. So, yeah, it's really not much going on for Hibs.
They've not got an
And
ability to
Hearts fall off
close out the game at
and
all.
Hearts have fallen off their high of midweek.
Yeah, but Hearts, I feel like this is, they're on the turn around the corner. It's obviously they would have wanted to win, but I feel like they're still on the up. Hibs, it seems a bit disastrous, and David Gray, I don't. Do you keep him for much longer because this is really getting bad, Laurie?
I mean, I feel for David Gray actually because obviously he's in a really awkward position as, a club legend, Scottish Cup winning captain. That was the first Scottish Cup win in over a century. I don't actually remember how many years it was, over 100 years, when he won it in 2016 with him with the armband on. So, so that man's a hero. So if you're David Gray, you don't want to tarnish your reputation. I mean, to Highbees, he's known as Sir David Gray for a reason. So he's a guy who's absolutely adored. At Hibs, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like from the stuff that you see and hear, I think there's quite a lot going on behind the scenes at Hibs, to be honest. I mean, some of the comments you have from members of the board, there was the guy who's chief executive, I think there was one of them did an interview with one of the broadcasters recently, and it was kind of interesting talking about all these mistakes they've made and how quick they've been to sack managers and blah blah blah. But then obviously, speaking of sacking managers, if David Gray was to go, here's a scary thought. I think it would be Malcolm Mackay that would end up back in the dugout. Obviously, very much maligned figure in football, not even just Scottish football. Had his spell, in charge of Ross County more recently. He's kind of technical director at Hibs at the moment. I kind of think
Something
he
like
would
that.
end up back in charge, which would just end up being probably more negativity for Hibs in terms of the negative press that gives you. That's bad enough. So Hibs in a real tough place.
Yeah, I think it was Jake Doyle Hayes' first appearance for Hibs in 14 months after his injury against
Yeah,
Hearts,
spot on.
and they were saying how many managers he must have went Hibs have went through in that period that he's not played. Um,
His last appearance was against Aston Villa. I don't know. That would either have been Lee Johnson or David Gray in interim charge. I can't think
yeah,
which. Then
I
obviously
think
Nick Montgomery never picked him once.
I can't remember. I
Because of
think it
injury,
might have been
but
Lee Johnson still. I want to say, but I'm not too sure.
yep.
But yeah, you kind of pick the right man and stick with him, and it doesn't seem so far that David Gray is the right man. But yeah, that seems to be the theme of Hibs over the last few seasons.
Yeah, Hibs, the Spurs of Scottish football. On
That's a good shout,
to
actually.
yeah, well, Spurs are Spursy, Hibs it. So
Yeah,
uh, but right. So
true.
Motherwell versus Celtic. Motherwell, I think in their last 2 games at Parkhead, um, got draws. They always run Celtic kind of close. It looked like they might be doing that again. great pressing, and then I'm just going to say the Greek forward takes it around Schmeichel and lays it off for Lennon Miller, who hits the post. Uh, my co-host smiling there because of my inability to pronounce his name. The Greek striker, we'll just call him. And then not long after that, Lennon Miller then hits the bar from a stunning free kick for that would have been goal of the week for me if that had went in. But from then on, Ethan, business as usual for Celtic.
Yeah, it was a bit of not a slow start by Celtic, but Motherwell were definitely in the game. They gave Celtic some problems. Obviously, as you said, Lennon Miller hit the woodwork twice. Was unlucky on both attempts, and I think you could see watching the game in the opening kind of 20, 25, 30 minutes how good Lennon Miller is and how he's just head and shoulders above his teammates pretty much. I thought he started the game really well. Just he was winning. He won the free kick with a brilliant bit of play that he hit the bar with, and found out that unfortunate rule that you can't hit the woodwork and be the first one to touch the ball again. As Celtic were awarded the free kick.
Sorry to the viewers if someone heard my bell ringing there. I think there's someone at my door.
No, I didn't even hear that. But yeah, Celtic, as you said, it was business from there. Obviously, a much changed 11 from Atalanta. Obviously, Celtic put a lot into the game. You would have expected that. McGregor misses out through injury. So Paulo Bernardo was in that kind of McGregor role, you could say. He took a wee while to get into the game. He wasn't always the most comfortable. He obviously makes that mistake, which nearly leads to the Miller goal that hit the post. But as you said, Celtic were business from then. McCowan, who I thought has been deserving a start for a while now, got his start and he was one of the standouts and got his goal, which was a good strike. And then a good goal from Alistair Johnston, the captain on the day. The two fullbacks combining with a good cross from Alex Bayet, and then Ida gets that late goal off the bench with Kuhn off the bench as well, getting another assist, and then the red card. Well, that's a pretty terrible tackle.
Yeah,
I think you would agree.
Ida was really lucky to get away with not having his ankle broken or something. He took it quite well, I thought, the way he just sort of slid and got up afterwards. But you know, it's a horrible, horrible challenge from Liam Gordon, and it's just a bit of like, we're down 3-0, I'm just going to take him out moment, and he jumps in and he catches him, and both feet are off the ground, both studs in the air. It's a terrible, terrible challenge, and it rightfully sent off. And thankfully, Adam Ida's okay.
Yeah, I think they definitely got that one right. I think there was another. I don't know if you've seen it, the kind of Maeda handball goal, where Stephen O'Donnell seems to shove him over. I don't really know how that's not been given as a penalty.
I just thought that was two guys tussling, and they both fall.
It was kind of 50-50. I mean, Maeda against O'Donnell, wasn't it? It wasn't really like.
Yeah, I didn't think there was much in it. Ethan.
Yeah.
I think Maeda's running to the ball. Maeda's going to score. There's no reason for Maeda to go over. O'Donnell's behind him. O'Donnell doesn't play the ball. O'Donnell shoves Maeda over. I think it's a quite clear penalty. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. But it was a comfortable performance from Celtic. And yeah, just keeping the momentum going. Obviously, they've got the rematch against Aberdeen at the weekend, but before that, they've got Dundee at home, which you would expect them to turn Dundee over based off their recent form. But for Motherwell, like Dundee United, it's not something to get too disheartened about. I think they've still made a great start to the season, and I still expect them to continue with their good start.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think you can expect them to get it. Like, these games are kind of against Rangers and Celtic usually. Maybe you could say Aberdeen now are write-offs for these other sides. So and you sort of look at those games in isolation from the rest of the season, and Motherwell, yeah, they've got a good a good run going. Obviously, they've got a tough game coming up after the midweek games against Rangers in the cup semi, and if they get something for that, brilliant for them. They're in a cup final, and yeah, it's a good season for Motherwell, and I don't think they should be too disheartened by this performance and this scoreline.
Yeah, I'd say I'd go along with that as well. I mean, because as you pointed out, Alex, they started very well. I mean, Lennon Miller was unfortunate, as we said, as was the Greek striker whose name I'm not pronouncing either. And I mean, I was delighted that he didn't score because then, a bit like yourself, Alex, I would have probably had to say that name live on the radio. My goodness. But
I'm
you
gonna
know,
pull it up and see if I
but
can.
Motherwell did start brightly.
Yeah,
Are you actually having a go? Fair play.
yeah. I'm gonna have a go. You keep talking about Motherwell, and I'll pull up his name.
Yeah, right. You can kind of swat up on that. I'll keep talking about Motherwell for a bit. I mean, obviously, I mean Motherwell are one of these teams who will, go on runs like they will go on a decent unbeaten run and then go on a run where they just can't score or
He's not
can't get
even
a
Greek.
result, and then some pressure goes well.
He's Australian.
I
Oh,
thought, I
Yeah, but
thought,
I think he's probably I don't mean this bad, but he's probably like Postecoglou where he's probably dual
yeah,
nationality.
I
yeah.
thought, I thought when you said that, I thought he was Australian, but I wasn't too sure. But yeah, it's not the easiest handle to pronounce. You could say
No.
Apostolos Stamatolopoulos.
I think that's a pretty, I
Stamatolopoulos.
think that's a
Brilliant, Alex.
pretty good
That
goal.
sounded pretty good. We'll go with that.
That was pretty good. Like, because I used to love back in the day saying Socrates Papa Papadopoulos. Remember him? I can't remember how to say that,
Yeah,
but he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, I can't remember now, but I used to be able to do it as well. Obviously, the former Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund defender, or I suppose the other way around. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, you were probably making a great point there, and I interrupted you.
not not really. I was just saying how inconsistent Motherwell can be. We've seen it last season as well, where they'll maybe start really well, go on a brilliant run, and then they'll go through this spell where they just look horrendous, and then the pressure kind of gets piled on Stuart Kettlewell again. And I remember they were going through one of those bad spells last season, and then Kettlewell gets effectively rewarded with a contract extension. But I mean, to be fair, he's done a good job, and I'm going to say something. Stuart Kettlewell is someone who I doubted when he first got the Motherwell job. I saw him as one of these guys who did a reasonable job at Ross County, especially in like, the co-manager setup, with Stephen Bergson, as it were, at the time. But I always thought he was one of these guys who would maybe be all right at one club because he was kind of part of the furniture at Ross County, and maybe it wouldn't translate well to Motherwell. But I tell you what, he's done pretty well.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
I'd agree with that. Speaking of contract extensions, Stephen Robinson got a new contract this week, extended till 2027 as St Mirren manager. And as it would happen, the next game we're going to be covering is Rangers versus St Mirren. Did you like that? Pretty smooth. Uh, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
that was a good one, Alex.
yeah, right. So Rangers versus St Mirren. This game was a bit scrappy. First half, Olasanya had a really big chance. He pulled wide. Rangers took the lead. Some nice play. Raskin got the shot off, and Diamande following in after it actually deflected off of him. So it would have been his goal anyway. But he deflected off of him. Balcom saves Diamande follows in, puts it away. However, St Mirren get a corner that probably wasn't a corner, and they end up scoring off of it from Alex Gogic, who just bullies Robin Proper and Laurie. I think Robin Proper sort of get ragdolled throughout this game at corners and by Talisa Lasagna.
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, St Mirren can probably feel to an extent, a bit hard done by not to get something out of the game. I felt, and yeah, they're a team that are maybe on a bad run, which maybe even makes your segue to this game even stronger. But I mean, St Mirren aren't a bad side, but I mean, Rangers
Sorry,
obviously
Toyose
got the
Lasagna.
result.
Toyosi
Yeah,
Olasanya.
yeah. Rangers have maybe struggled a wee bit, and like Robin Proper in particular is someone that I've not been overly impressed with. I don't know your take on him, Alex, but I mean, he does seem quite easily bullied by players. I get that Alex Gogic is a physically imposing, seems quite scary opponent to come up against, right? But he's one of these ones where in Scotland you have guys like that, and it seems like maybe Proper isn't that well prepared for the kind of physicality or the kind of rough and tumble of the Scottish game. I thought he looked quite weak against Kilmarnock as well when I saw him in the flesh a few weeks ago. I don't know if that's maybe just something that I've noticed.
No, I thought he has looked quite lightweight, to be fair, which is not something you want to see. But maybe it's a thing with Dutch players because obviously
Yeah,
Lammers, he wasn't great going forward either, but he looked quite lightweight, but he's gone back to the Netherlands and he's thriving. So maybe it's just the styles of
Malik
football.
Tillman as well.
Malik Tillman's not Dutch, and he was pretty good. So
Oh yeah, the Malik Tillman played in the Netherlands. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, true enough.
all
did
right,
he not play
sorry,
in the Netherlands beforehand?
no, don't think so.
Oh no, he's got him from Bayern Munich. Sorry, I stand corrected. He's German and USA now.
Okay, right. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, Robin Proper. So it might just be the style of play, but yeah, not great from him. But you know, all you can do. However, we've got another Dutch player who's pretty good in Casemiro, so I don't know. He seems to be physically all right, and I thought he was okay during this game. He had a couple of moments going forward. Barami had a really good chance. Not Dessers, sorry, Cherny had a shot in the first half. It was straight at Balcom. I can't speak. Um, but yeah, half time, one each. But then St Mirren actually take the lead through Toyosi Olasanya, and it was ruled out for offside, which was a big sort of, I guess you could say, sliding doors moment, Ethan.
Yeah, he's unlucky and he nearly times his run perfectly, but he's just offside. The game could have went differently if that goes in for him. But yeah, he'll rue that chance he missed at the start of the game as well. You mentioned it. At Ibrox, you've got to kind of, I think, take those chances when they come to you. But yeah, he's unlucky. He's just offside, and Rangers kind of got their act together after that, you could say, and got the
Yeah,
job done in the end.
yeah, I thought Rangers were better in the second half. A bit more control, creating a bit more chances. You know, and I'll just come to the goal. Cyril Dessers goes back to why he's one of the most frustrating players. Sometimes he can't seem to like kick his own behind, and then he goes and does that, chips it through two players, accelerates past the last player, and he cuts it back for Vaslav Cherny, who's now scored 5 goals in his last 4 games for Rangers. So yeah, playing really really well. 4 goals in his last 3 league games, obviously, and we take the lead. But Cyril Dessers had a couple of chances, penalty shout at the end, that I think was a penalty. But it doesn't really matter because Rangers won in the end. So, but yeah, Czerny's playing really really well, and I just want to highlight him again. I think he just looks like he's got a bit of extra energy about him, a bit of extra drive. It just looks a bit sharper, Laurie. I don't know if I'm imagining that.
No, I wouldn't say you are. I mean, he's a player who I know when he first came to Rangers, you could see his quality. You could see why he was someone maybe 6 or 7 years ago that was getting a lot of, hype around him. Um, you can see kind of that technical quality never leaves you if you're kind of got that kind of born talent. But I know his first few weeks at Rangers, he was really kind of frustrating the fan base because you could see that quality, but it just wasn't really. It wasn't really, channeling his ability in the best way almost. But now we're starting to see the guy that Philippe Clement thought he was getting, and maybe he can be a someone that can actually, push Rangers on that wee bit, be it in Europe or domestically, because of course Rangers do have a lot of catching up, still do, but Cherny has started to look really impressive.
Yeah, I think when it was the first game of the season at Tynecastle that he came off the bench, didn't he? And he didn't look the sharpest. So maybe it's taken him a wee while to get up and fully sharp and fully going at Rangers. But he's on a great run of form, and yeah, he's been one of Rangers' best players this season. You'd have to say. Um, on I didn't watch the game, but Alex, what did you think of Igamani starting?
I thought it was fair. We don't know what happened with Esser's eye. Obviously, he came on at half time. I think Igamani deserved the chance after he came on and scored against the FCSB. He offered a lot more than Dessers did the whole time he was on. So, but yeah, he wasn't too great. I think he looked quite like he was quite lonely up there. He was getting bullied by Gogic and Charles Dunn, which is no, to play against them two by yourself is no mean feat. They're tough defenders. But I was saying this to my dad actually. I feel like he's one that we're going to need to be patient with because he's come from the Moroccan league. He's like 21, come from the Moroccan league, so give him time, and he's obviously got quality. He's got physical ability, pace, strength, decent finishing as we saw, good hold up play. But I just need to give him time and see how it unfolds. Maybe he's going to be one that might need a year of bed in, but there's a player there, and I was happy for him to start.
Yeah, I think as you said, he deserved his start and he has looked promising, but you get that with younger players that they're not always going to be consistent and they've got their inconsistencies and he's going to have that. I noticed John Souttar wasn't in the squad. Was he suspended or injured?
I don't know actually. I wasn't too sure about that.
Mm.
I hope he's not injured because
I hope he's not. I
Yeah,
mean, he's the best defender.
uh, I'd probably say Leon Balogun's our best defender, but he can't stay fit all the time either, and he's like
Well, no,
45. So
that,
that's why he
I'm
doesn't
going to
get
say that's fair enough, but that has its own problems.
he doesn't get played as often. So, but the two of them are definitely better than Robin Proper. So I'd hope he's still fit. But yeah, Rangers with a scrappy win, but got the job done because dropping points again would have been absolutely disastrous. And
Yeah.
going into the midweek game against the second in the table, joint on points with Celtic, it's going to be tough. But um, maybe there will be something there for Rangers. But anyway, do you want to just call it there, boys? You get anything to add? Maybe. Oh well, I'll talk a wee bit about St Mirren. I thought it was a great reaction performance from St Mirren after their dreadful performance against Hearts. They were really, on it. I thought they good defensively, physical, fast, and that's the reaction Stephen Robinson would have wanted to see.
yeah, definitely. I think
Absolutely.
I was sorry, Lolly. I was
No,
just
no.
just cut in front of you there. I was just going to say I thought it's definitely an improvement from St Mirren. They've had not a great season. You can see that down in 10th is not where they want to be after last season. I think they've had one win in their last 11 games. But all the St Mirren fans are convinced that Stephen Robinson's the man to take them forward. That's why he's got that contract extension. And yeah, but they'll just be hoping that he can turn it round now and get them back competing for the top six European places.
Yeah, they've definitely got the quality for that. So I think that is definitely what they'll be aspiring towards. I mean, three top six finishes in a row for St Mirren if they do it this season, and that's something that's pretty much unheard of in Paisley. So I'm sure they'd be delighted if they were to get that. And clearly, the higher ups at Mirren think that Stephen Robinson is the man to deliver that as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, right, we'll call it there now after my wee blip. Forgot to talk about St Mirren,
Goal
but
of the
that.
week.
Oh yeah, goal of the week as well. I'm having a mare, right? Goal of the week. Um, I'm gonna go with Corey Dava.
I think I'll join you. You probably all gathered that was the way I was potentially going to go, but going to give it to Corey. Only his second goal for Kelly as well. But he's a guy who should actually score more. And then he misses quite a few chances. I don't mean a left back, but he's a guy who should score more.
Uh, yeah, I agree, Corey and Dab. I don't think it's been the greatest selection to pick from.
No,
Not the best weekend of Scottish Premiership football, but yeah, I'd agree. Corey and Dab
I,
was the
I,
best
I was I
goal.
was
Yeah.
I was thinking between Ndaba and Carey, but just the fact that maybe Carson should have done a bit better with that. That's why I sort of went towards Corey Ndaba. But yeah, he takes the dugout goal of the week. But yeah, that's that from us this week. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Go check out our Twitter at the Dugout 2024, posting all the good stuff on there to do with the football. Thank you and goodbye.